There is a lot of breaking news to cover today for uranium. I know it seems like we do this every day, but it is very positive. The price of uranium is back $50 in the spot market, and the SWU price is $91, which is an 8-year high. And we're actually seeing that continue to go up, which is very positive. We're going to talk about the breaking news, some very positive things in G7 was said about Russian enriched uranium weaning off of that. We're going to cover that. We're also going to cover the 2 new bills that were introduced in the House for uranium to add it to that strategic uranium reserve. This opens many doors. It's very simple and can happen very fast. We're going to jump right into it. And yes, the Uranium Documentary 3 video is almost done. It's already being edited. And I'm excited to show you guys because the 1970s are looking exactly like today. And we know uranium went to an all-time high, $226 then, adjusted for inflation. So the first thing to cover in this is the 2 new bills that were introduced to the House. And I really like the name of it. It's a Domestic Uranium Saves America. And this will really help the Biden administration get that $4.3 billion, in my opinion, for the enrichment, because it'll also help fast track permitting and things like that, because it being a critical mineral will add this, to that list, which it should have never not been added. It should have never been, because of the fuel part that it has in there, that it's not able to be added because it's used as fuel. This is 2 different bills that have already 4 co-sponsors, Democrat and Republican. And because this bill is not introducing a lot of crazy things, you're not going to have to go to many different subcommittees. It's probably going to be passed very quickly. Sometimes these bills are passed in a matter of weeks because it's amending something else. HR 8045 is the exact same thing, already 3 co-sponsors. And this is just to rename that uranium can be added to critical mineral status. So this is very positive. I really do like this. And I think that you're going to see in the next couple months, especially when there's refueling, we're going to see a lot of positive things for U.S. enrichment and U.S. uranium production. Fears grow that Russia could soon turn against Kazakhstan. We've been talking about that for a while. So if that happens, we know that majority of the world's uranium is going to be at risk. Now, this was the DOE. And this was about the strategic uranium reserve. This is about them buying uranium. And one thing I do want to remind people is that, this uranium must be newly produced in the U.S. from deposits at an existing site. So uranium that was produced previously that is currently held in inventory will not be eligible. So this new funding for the new strategic uranium reserve we should be seeing has to be from production that starts now. We only produced 21,000 in 2021, 21,000 pounds of uranium. And we hit a record, I think it was about 46 million pounds. It might have been actually close to 50 million in 1980. And, if we get back any, just a little bit of that, it's going to be massive for these, U.S. uranium stocks. So that is something that is very positive. We're seeing the overall market though. Energy minerals, the oil side, those stocks are still up today. But as you can see, we're for some reason tied still to the NASDAQ, the overall big market. We probably have a lot of those quote tourist traders over here, but Brent crude oil, they're up, gasoline is still up and they're closing back, uranium as well, closing back for the month being up. So it looks like Brent is close to break even on the monthly, and crude oil is still down about 5%, but it is up today. So I really do think that these commodities and energy are just going to continue to go up. A lot of people were thinking that inflation, that's the sentiment, that inflation has already peaked, but there's no way that is happening because it's going to take years to recover from the trillions that we just printed. We're at $30 trillion or more. And I'm going to really go into the documentary, especially with uranium and how during the last recession, there was a nuclear energy renaissance. We're seeing that again. If we see these bills getting passed and there's a strategic uranium reserve, the U.S. government buys in the billions, and then we have this refueling starting this, fall, it's going to get really crazy, I think, in the uranium price. It is nice to see it back at 50. So it is hard to use technical analysis on uranium for the most part because uranium doesn't really trade like other commodities out there. It's really not a commodity is what most people say. But if you can see in the last couple of years, obviously uranium is still up and we get this base here and then we break out, base, breakout. Well, these breakouts have always been in spring and fall. when refueling happens, because the price goes up, because usually utilities go into the market, so do producers, and you see more buying. So the price of uranium, not only because of inflation, but because this long-term contracting is coming back, I think that we're probably going to get here, just like we did about here, to the $55 range, and we'll probably break out to 70 plus. I really do think, and that'll probably be sometime in the September, October, probably October. And if we get below to 55 before then, it could be very positive. And we get any one of these catalysts, because remember, I use technical analysis. If we break out here, I marry it always to the fundamentals, because the fundamentals is really what matters with uranium. These long-term contracting, that's really what matters. The price of uranium is going to go up when that happens, because there is going to be record buying coming in and the price of uranium is going to shoot up. Now, if we get, these other catalysts with, the bill, Russian banning uranium, we don't even really need that, because what they're saying is this enriched uranium from Russia is having trouble making its way to the US anyways, not even including getting out of Russia, the issues over there, but just getting here into the US under Canadian law, it is illegal. So a lot of the, ships that were carrying it cannot come in. But if uranium continues this trend, which I do think it is, it's probably likely to break out this pennant. If it makes this pennant again, and we'll probably see a breakout to, like I said, $70. But it's all in probabilities. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we do know that long-term contracting has to come back. Another positive thing, China had another reactor today that they started construction. And it is very interesting. If we look back at the past, the US did about 50 reactors in 10 years in 1969 to 70. And then China, just started their nuclear program in 1993. And they look to build 150 new reactors. So this is very possible. This was during 1979. We built, the technology, the infrastructure wasn't as good as we technically have today. So especially with China, they can build very fast. So if we get these reactors up, that's that new demand. It's not even including the 700 million pounds of contracting that's going to be coming back to the market. Let's look over at the price of uranium today. It went up to $50 and swoop price is up, but the overall market is down. The NASDAQ is down almost 2%. So uranium stocks today, they started pretty good, but unfortunately they are dropping. And we've seen this. They've been yoked somewhat to the market. UEC actually, I think it had about a 20% move in the last couple of weeks back up. And then, it's pretty crazy. We hit that big high. We're still in that trend line, right above it. And I think the breakout is going to be very soon. So it is unfortunate that uranium stocks are down today. It is kind of crazy, but that just shows you that we're one step ahead. And you watching this channel, seeing this news break, shows that, we're still early. We're still early in this. And when these things all come together, it's going to be a parabolic move. But it is nice to see uranium back at $50. Some people say the spot market doesn't really matter. Yes, it's an opaque market. Long-term contracting is really what matters. But for retail, that's what we can see. We can see it's a signal that, hey, there's people out there buying it. The supply and demand, the demand is obviously going up and the supply is going down, because especially Sprott, they've bought so many million pounds of uranium sometimes in a day, that this once supply that people thought would be out there is starting to dwindle. And we're starting to see that contracting coming in. So the fact that we're seeing swoop prices go to $91, 8-year high, and they've held this, unlike uranium that's kind of very volatile, we're probably going to see a lot of buying very soon come back into the spot market. And obviously, like we saw today, Encore getting that, I think it was around 600,000 pounds for contracting, the long-term contracting, which is very positive in my opinion. So very excited to continue covering uranium. Very excited to get that uranium documentary out. And if you got this far in the video, you're wonderful. Please hit the like and subscribe button below. Hit the bell notifications so you'll know when I get these videos out, because this is critical information. I like to break a lot of this critical information, and usually the stocks do very well in the coming weeks after this news gets out to the public, because not a lot of people, the uranium sector is very small. Not a lot of people really watch this, and they will only start to buy those tourists when they hear the news talk about it, which will probably be a couple weeks from now, especially once this bill, these bills are passed. So just like they said at the G7 meeting, that we're looking to wean ourselves off, and especially European countries, off of Russian enriched uranium, we're going to see a lot of buying coming in. So thank you so much for watching. Semper Paratus.